All right, guys, let's unpackage this a little bit more. So I just want to start here in Revelation 16. Like I said the other day, if the beginning of December, I think it was the 4th, was that eclipse. If you watch a lot of Theology Ed, there's a lot of information you can get from that. If you know Leland's interpretation of the menorah and all the little points on there, I believe it's 22, how they have meanings that deal with the sun, moon, and stars. So, whether they know it or not, dealing with the Enoch calendar. And I said yesterday in that video how we have to kind of look at 1 Corinthians and I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 2 or maybe 3, where it talks about the flesh in the world will not understand the spirit, for it is unknown to them. They're not wise to these interpretations. So here again, if everything is so plainly, physically laid out in the Bible, what is to happen? People talk about earthquakes in diverse places, and then they go to the United States government seismic map, and they say, look, there was an earthquake over there. But here again, earthquakes have been happening for hundreds and thousands of years. So to say that they're increasing, there's this, there's that, there's another, you got to look at that. Oh, look, there was an 8.0 in New Guinea. There's always an 8.0 in New Guinea, okay? So if there's a spiritual lens we are trying to look through, I believe that it's, if you go from December 7th, from around December 7th to December 4th, if that was the kickoff of the second bowl, if we are in that period, I've made it very clear that it's not very easy to interpret where we are in the seals, trumpets, or bowls. If we are in the bowls and time is running out and it's all going to end on April 18th, and that timeline of that eclipse that's going to come over America with an X, that could be us being a part of Babylon being destroyed because we have drunken the wine of God's wrath from the harlot that is selling all these things to the world. In adultery, in that kind of adultery, not porn, not marriage with man and a woman having adultery going on all rampant in the streets. See, there again, people take it into some sort of a physical interpretation. But if you go into the Old Testament and you look at the major prophets especially, and you go through the beginning chapters, the first 10 chapters, usually you'll find where it's talking about their adultery. So let me just touch on Revelation 16 here, and I'll jump right into this. So in the third bowl, I didn't know so June 5th, if you're going from the 4th, I believe, from the time, or maybe I went from the 7th, but you go 180 days, and it gets you into, you're going to be around June 2nd today, if you go by the 4th from that eclipse date, I believe, and up till today, or up till the 5th in June, will be from December 7th. I can't remember exactly when that was spoken to be kicking off, but if it happens at the time of the eclipse, I believe that today would be that timeline, 180 days. And there's no eclipse. The eclipse happened last month, about 2 weeks ago. The blood moon over China, I believe. So they had the blood red sky, they had the blood moon, and then they had, I think, rivers turning to blood in their, but they said it was algae, they said this, that, and the other thing. Nobody can know if they're trying to falsify the vision or if it's actually really happening. I'm not in China, so I have no desire either. The third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and the fountains of water, and they became blood. And I heard the angels of the water say, Thou art righteous, O Lord, which art and was and that shall be, because thou hast judged us. For they have shed the blood of the saints and the prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. And I heard another out of the altar say, Even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are thy judgments. Then it goes into the fourth bowl. So, real quick, let's just jump into Amos 8, because I feel that's a very important kind of a cornerstone when you're looking at kind of a lens of interpretation. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will send a famine in the land, and not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing of the word of the Lord. And they shall wander from sea to sea, from the north even to the east, and they shall run to and fro, seeking the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. So here's just a familiar line in the Bible that happens and recurs a lot, and that would be dry like a desert. So what I did was I just went on Bible Hub and I typed in rivers and springs, because Revelation 16 talks about these things fall on the rivers and springs. So I'm going to go to Isaiah 41. When the poor and the needy seek water, there is none. Their tongue faileth for thirst. I, the Lord, will hear them. I, the God of Israel, will not forsake them. I will open up rivers in high places and fountains in the midst of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water, and dry land springs of water. So what is possibly happening with the springs and the rivers? Are we looking for them to literally turn into blood, as in Exodus when it spoke about those plagues coming upon them? Or we are seeking a sign and there is none? You know, the Jews seek after a sign and the Greeks seek after wisdom. But there shall be no sign except for the sign of Jonah. For an adulterous generation seeks after a sign. So, just real quickly again, let's just go into Matthew, when the Sermon on the Mount with Jesus is talking to the people. Give me a second, because this just hit me, and I saw it yesterday, but I didn't seek it out before I came into this. Blessed are the meek. So go to chapter 5, verse 5. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Who is hungry? Who is thirsty? The people of a dry land. What is he going to do? He's going to replenish the land with water. So then you go into John 4, where Jesus is speaking to the woman at the well. And he says, Jesus answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again, but whoever drinketh of the water that I shall give them shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, nor come hither to draw. And Jesus tells her to go call her husbands, and he kind of opens her eyes to who he is, that he is something more than just a man. So, yes, I'll say it again, that yes, the waters can turn to blood, that all living things in the sea can die. I saw that in Enoch also. When you get, I think, into the end of the books, it says a verse about how, that he created all things in the sea and everything in it, and he can take them all away and killeth them. And I can't remember if it was being spoken like a prophecy or just kind of something that's being said. But here again, so either today to tomorrow, or to the, I think the 5th. So today's June 2nd. So there's a 3-day span of kind of an unclear time, but expect things to be changing. And we got the monkey business out there. We got gun problems. And it's interesting because every time there's gun problems, there's always some sort of a surge in sales. And they talk about taking things away. Then all of a sudden, there's a surge in buying those things that they're wanting to take away because they're not taken away yet. So people run out in drones and lines are going around the block and they're sold out. Who's making money on these things? The weapons companies, right? I remember that when Obama was president, he was saying things about gun control, and then they had record gun sales. I'm not saying that's happening right now, but it's just an interesting thing if you want to research and look around and see what's happening. I see that Canada is talking about taking away the sales of hand versions. So here again, because 3 or 4 or 5 people have done things in a North America, you could say, in the population over 400 million. What is the math on that? It's got to be outrageous. And it's like, yeah, okay, so there's a couple bad grains of sand out there at the beach, and you're going to try to tell everybody else. People argue and say, well, it needs to not happen. It needs not to be available, but it's already there. So what can you do? I'll leave it at that. Just a word to the wise. I'm going to keep digging in this. We'll see. There's a lot more I could show, I'm sure, on this with the rivers and springs. There's Psalms. There's a lot of things that are circulating around Babylon in the day of the Lord, because that's what Amos 8 is speaking around that time of the day of the Lord. Not a first thirst of food and water, but the word of the Lord. So, just a word of the wise, guys. God bless. To be continued.